nominations.
Senator Whitehouse.
Thanks very much, Chairman. Let me follow up on Senator Tillis's questions, Mr. Gaiser. On this committee, I lived through the OLC torture opinions, which were so bad that the administration that wrote them had to withdraw them. The warrantless wiretapping opinions, which were so bad that they created a mutiny within the Department of Justice, and with the walkback of OLC from enforcing the so-called Reagan memo, which posits that the department and OLC in particular will be a somewhat neutral arbiter in conflicts between the executive and the legislative branch over oversight. In all of those matters, the OLC became the active, as Senator Tillis said, the active partisan for the administration and not a neutral decider. If I look at your record, first, how long have you been a lawyer?
Thank you very much, Senator Whitehouse. I've been a lawyer for 10 years.
And how many of those were you a law clerk?
I was a law clerk for 3 different jurists, about a total of 28 months.
And how many of those years were spent in private practice?
I was in private practice, Senator, for about 4 years.
At the associate level?
I was an associate, yes, sir.
How long have you served as Ohio Solicitor General?
I've served since November of 2023 and currently serve as Ohio Solicitor General.
Have you ever tried a case to a final judgment?
Well, thank you very much for that question, Senator. I have worked on trial litigation teams. I have not myself been personally the counsel of record in a trial case. I am primarily an appellate lawyer and an advisor and counselor.
Have you ever personally appeared in trial court?
Yes, Senator.
Now, some time ago, you had pretty strong views about President Trump. You said that, quote, his political positions are a lot like his hair, pasted on for effect and flopping whichever way the wind blows. That he has an astonishing weakness for flattery, falling for Vladimir Putin after a few coquettish bats of the eyelashes from the Russian thug, and that he is a short-fingered vulgarian candidate. Since then, have you had a role in Donald Trump's litigation that tried to overturn the results of the 2020 election?
Well, thank you for that question, Senator. Like millions of Americans, I have seen the courage and the results that President Trump has delivered. I watched in that field in Pennsylvania as he stood after the assassin's bullet, and I hope my children look up to and live up to that kind of courage in their life.
So while in private practice, did you have a role in Donald Trump's litigation that tried to overturn the results of the 2020 election?
Well, thank you for that question, Senator. I was retained by Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated in the 2020 campaign to provide legal advice, which I did.
The former White House press secretary testified that you were one of her go-to people to advance the argument that Vice President Pence could overturn the 2020 election. Is that true?
Well, Senator, as you know, ethical obligations of confidentiality attach to any client matter. And as a former attorney for a former client, I am not going to divulge the confidential communications that I made to that client.
Just if I look at this, you don't seem to have the legal experience that most OLC chiefs have. You seem to have done a very abrupt pivot politically into the Trump camp and into election denialism. On what basis should I have any confidence that you will exert any independence or judgment within OLC if the Trump administration comes knocking on your door for an opinion and won't go down the road of we'll give you your free torture opinion, we'll give you your free warrantless wiretap opinion, and we won't bother to enforce the Reagan memo any longer? What will keep you from going down those bad roads that we've seen OLC go down?
Well, thank you, Senator Whitehouse. The first role of any lawyer is to be able to state the law as it is. And the Office of Legal Counsel serves an important role in our administration by providing a neutral opinion objectively of what the law is.
Will you do that?
Yes, Senator.
Okay, Mr. Woodward, last question. I'll re-ask Ranking Member Durbin's question a slightly different way. Under what circumstances would you recommend that the Trump administration defy a lower court order?
Mr. Chairman, I see my time has expired. May I answer the question?
Please, you should answer, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Whitehouse, I can't imagine a circumstance in which I would be called upon to advise the defiance of a court order. I've had the great privilege of working with President Trump now for many years, and I just don't ever imagine a circumstance in which I would be called upon to give advice of that nature.
Even for lower courts?